Hillary Clinton goes after President Trump in her latest interview, but she actually ends up insulting the Democrats in the process. Forget anthem kneeling, the actual national anthem is now under attack by the left. Plus, Tommy Tuberville blows out Jeff Sessions in the Alabama Senate race. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with Hillary Clinton because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh man, I haven't seen her in a long time. I really miss her. I wish she'd go back on TV. Well, if you think like that, you're nuts. For the rest of us, she's back, she's on TV, and it just reinforces the things that we already knew. One, she belongs in jail. Two, she still can't believe that President Trump won. And three, she'll say anything, even the lamest left-wing talking points, in order to get on TV. So this time, she was on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and I just want to give you a little clip, a little bit of the start, so you can see how this goes, because no Republican in history has ever been interviewed like this, and the Democrats get it all the time.
Because I know if I was in your position, I would spend most of my time tweeting, "I told you so," and then I would be like, I would walk around the streets just looking at people saying, "It could have been me, it could have been me."
All right, see how lame that is? It's so softball, so stupid. It's like this fun little conversation among friends. Imagine a Republican getting an interview like that. Yet all these outlets, there's so many choices for AOCs and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden to do these nice, safe, soft interviews. It's just so much fun. The liberal elite hanging out, and this was a perfect example. So then they move on to voter suppression. And Noah asks her about it, and she's talking about the evil plans that Republicans have for suppressing the vote. She talks about a two-pronged strategy, and here's her comments.
The first is try to prevent as many people who they think won't vote for them from voting. So, make the lines really long where young people vote or African Americans vote or Hispanics vote. Try to make vote by mail as difficult as possible. Claim it's fraudulent when indeed it's not.
All right. I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to do analysis on this clip without cracking up because it's just so insane. She's talking about voter suppression, and she talks about one of the strategies is to make her voters, Democrats, wait in long lines. You're talking about young people, blacks, Hispanics, making them wait in long lines, as if white people have some inherent tolerance to long lines. They can do it, but young people, blacks and Hispanics, no way. They aren't waiting in lines. That's voter suppression. That's what she's talking about. It's absolutely the strangest thing I've ever heard. And then she says another strategy is to make vote by mail as difficult as possible. As if, what is she saying? That Republicans are smarter? That if we make it more difficult, they'll be able to do it, but the Democrats can't? It's outrageous what she's saying to her own base. She's saying young people, blacks, and Hispanics are basically lazy and dumb. They don't want to wait in lines. Waiting in a long line's not worth it to vote, and you better not make vote by mail too complicated or they can't do it. That's what she's saying as she outlines the evil Republican plan. Those are her points. It's just nuts, and yet she says it just like that's normal. Like this is what Republicans are planning to do. She's slamming the Democrats in the process. Then she brings out one of the lamest talking points from the left, that it's not only the Democrats who say this, it's the media too, and it makes no sense. No one's done it in the history of the country, and yet the left keeps bringing it up about Donald Trump to try and scare people who won't think for themselves. And here's what she says.
Well, I think it is a fair point to raise as to whether or not, if he loses, he's going to go quietly or not. And we have to be ready for that.
So what does that mean? These leftists, these people like Hillary Clinton and the media, they actually think that if President Trump is not reelected, that he's just going to stay? That he's just going to hang out somehow and be president and not follow the Constitution. I mean, what are they talking about? They're going to send in tanks to make him go? It's outrageous, folks. You win an election, you keep going. You lose, you go home. That's how it's always been done. Yet they'll grasp at anything, they'll promote anything just to promote fear in the minds of the voters that, you know what, President Trump might not accept the results of this election. He might not accept the finality. He might not go. We might have to have other means to get rid of him. It's just, it makes no sense. And yet these are the interviews that she does. It's absolutely outrageous. Again, my favorite part is her insulting the Democrats as a way to point out the evil Republicans. Really good base right there that you're reaching out to. You call us deplorables. You call your own base lazy and stupid. Way to go, Hillary Clinton. So next, we're going to talk about the wokeness that's sweeping the nation, corporate, Democrats, you name it. But first, if you love the show, if you're new to the show, please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. We're making our push for 100,000 subscribers by Election Day. 100K by Election Day. And you can do it. Just hit the button. All right. So now we're going to talk about this cancel culture that's running around crazy. It's absolutely nuts. We've seen it with the Washington Redskins. They've announced their names going. Other teams are reevaluating their names so they don't offend this liberal elite that's so vocal. They seem to run the show, and no one's calling them out. The NBA having these social justice messages on their jerseys. Black Lives Matter is approved. All Lives Matter isn't. The NFL, I mean, they totally caved to national anthem kneeling, and now not only national anthem kneeling, but the national anthem is being attacked. It is being suggested to get rid of it, to replace it. There's this left-wing columnist, Jody Rosen, over at the Los Angeles Times. He wrote a piece saying, the national anthem, it's got to go. And here's a report. An op-ed from the Los Angeles Times raised eyebrows for calling on the Star-Spangled Banner to be canceled as the national anthem. The wave of reckoning and revisionism that is sweeping the country may have to come for the national anthem, Jody Rosen wrote, pointing to viral claims that the Star-Spangled Banner is a racist song that stems from Key's poem, Defense of Fort McHenry, which invokes slaves. Rosen listed several songs that have been floated around to become the next national anthem, including John Lennon's Imagine, James Weldon Johnson's Lift Every Voice and Sing, as well as other iconic American tunes like God Bless America, America the Beautiful, This Land is Your Land. So what does Rosen think? Will those songs make an acceptable alternative? If we get rid of the Star-Spangled Banner, would any of those, America the Beautiful, for example, would those work? Nope. Here's why. At a moment when the United States is in the grip of multiple crises, convulsed by debates over racism and injustice, ravaged by a pandemic, with a crumbling economy and a faltering democracy, the very idea of a national anthem, a hymn to the glory of country, feels like a crude relic, another monument that may warrant tearing down. Give me a break. There's so much wrong with that passage. Our democracy is not crumbling. It's being attacked by the left, and it's up to us to stand up to it. So what's Rosen's choice? Lean on me. Here's why. It's a modest song that puts on no airs. It speaks in plain musical language without a trace of bombast, in a tidy arrangement that unfolds over a few basic chords. It doesn't march to a martial beat or rise to grand crescendos. The lyrics hold no pastoral images of fruited plains or oceans white with foam, no high-minded invocations of liberty or God. Unreal. You know, and this is the thing. If Americans would just pay attention, this election in November would be so easy. All we need to do, all Americans need to do out there is pay attention to the craziness of the left, because that's who runs the Democrat Party. People like this, people like AOC. It's unreal. All we need to do is pay attention to see how far out they are. They want to remove everything American about America. That's their goal. That's what they're trying to do. It's outrageous. And it just plays into our hands if we point it out and if we react to it and do something about it. The president of Real Clear Politics, he tweeted this in response. It's almost as if they're trying to re-elect Trump. It's awesome. And again, that goes to my point. These people are doing it. If we'd pay attention, we'd see how nuts they are. No one would vote for him. Ben Shapiro had this as a possible replacement song. Let's replace it with Everybody's Special from Barney and Friends. It's about as good as what this guy is reporting. I mean, it's just nuts. We can't tear down the things that make America America, our culture, our traditions. And that's exactly what the left wants to do. And one of the reasons I brought up this story is so you could see both their tactics and their strategy. It's all in one. It's all in one thing with this movement against the national anthem. Their long-term strategy, of course, is to do what I just said, to take out everything that's American about America, to replace our culture and our traditions with government, with power. Erase those. The only thing that's left is government control. Their tactics are to chip away multi-pronged, multifaceted attack, and the national anthem is a perfect example. You think this is about national anthem kneeling? That's just one thing. We've seen story after story. We've got the NFL caving in on national anthem. We've got this guy that wants to change it. We've got other stories where their suggestion is, hey, well, if there's controversy with kneeling for the national anthem, let's just do away with it. We won't have it at games. Multi-pronged attack, and you would think, some people would think, oh yeah, the left would lose their focal point if we can't kneel for the national anthem by just getting rid of the national anthem. But that's exactly what they want. They win if we give in on anything. We change it, we lose a part of our history. We accept national anthem kneeling. Now the national anthem becomes a source of division, a point of division, rather than an opportunity of unity. And then if we get rid of it altogether, boom, we've just lost a chance to come together as a national anthem, sing as Americans together, honor our flag and honor our country. They can win with any of those. We have to reject all of them in the process in order to keep going. It's just nuts, folks, that they do this. They'll win at any cost, and we have to realize what's coming at us so we know how to respond. So next, I want to get into some politics, some Joe Biden, some elections. But first, I've got to tell you about my friends over at Bottle Breacher. Please check them out. Eli Crane's company, veteran-owned, made in America products. This is good stuff, folks. This is man gifts, groomsmen gifts, promotional items, fun stuff. I've got some. You should check it out. Just go to bottlebreacher.com. Use coupon code BOBBY13 for 15% off your next purchase. All right, let's start with Joe Biden. We got to talk some politics because, as I mentioned before, he is the dream of the far left. Before I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to want Bernie or someone, some real advocate. Joe Biden ends up being the best candidate the far left could ask for because he is an empty stooge of the left. He has no principles. He just wants to be elected. He will follow these guys. He will be led by them. Now he's announcing his climate change team, his climate change proposal, and his total AOC and Green New Deal. Here's a report. Presumptive Democrat presidential nominee Joe Biden pledged Tuesday to invest $2 trillion into combating climate change during his first term in office. Mr. Biden said President Trump's refusal to address the mounting problem and his bungled response to the coronavirus calls for a massive down payment on pro-environmental agenda that will lead to new jobs and fewer carbon emissions. There is no more consequential challenge that we must meet in the next decade than the onrushing climate crisis, Mr. Biden said in Wilmington. Left unchecked, it is literally an existential threat to our planet and to our very survival. Folks, this is going nowhere. And keep in mind, whenever the Democrats talk about environment, they're not talking about Joe Blow recycling, not burning extra waste or burning plastic outside. I'm talking about the Democrats' overall environmental policy. It is not about keeping the planet safe. It's about changing the way we live for more control for government. Less freedom for us, less choice for us, more control from government. That's what they want. That's what AOC is all about. That's what the Green New Deal is all about. And that's what Joe Biden is embracing in order so he can win. He doesn't believe in this stuff. He's doing it because AOC is pushing the agenda. The far left are pushing the agenda. And he's right on board. And here's more. Steve Malloy, former Trump EPA transition team member, panned the plan, saying his vow to eliminate greenhouse gas emissions from power plants is a false fantasy that would wreck our economy and standard of living. The campaign promise is nothing but a transparent attempt to excite the Ocasio-Cortez wing of the Democrat Party about the Biden candidacy, Mr. Malloy said. Mr. Biden's plan calls for a carbon pollution-free power sector by 2035, retrofitting 4 million buildings in an environmentally friendly way and establishing universal broadband access. Retrofit 4 million buildings. 4 million buildings, folks, over the next decade or two. That is not going to happen. That is not possible, and it would cost trillions. We've already spent trillions of dollars on coronavirus when we shouldn't have had to spend that, shouldn't have shut down the economy in the first place. Now he wants to retrofit 4 million buildings. And universal broadband access, you know what that means? That means you and me, as taxpayers, paying for someone else's internet. That's what it means. You and me paying for someone else to get online. That is not an entitlement we need to be paying for. It's absolutely nuts. And in other political news, we had a big runoff in Alabama. Tommy Tuberville versus Jeff Sessions. Former coach of Auburn versus the former attorney general, former senator from Alabama, former attorney general under President Trump, who messed up big time, brought on the ire, the wrath of President Trump. Trump came down and endorsed Tuberville, and this election was wild. Going into the runoff, in the first primary, Tuberville edged out Sessions 33-31. That's why they had to go to the runoff. This time around, Tuberville 63, Jeff Sessions 37. It was a massive, massive blowout, a big win for President Trump, and it sets us up, more importantly, I think, than any of those things, for a win in November. Take back this seat from Democrat Doug Jones. He shouldn't have won it in the first place. Now we have a chance to pick up a new Republican seat for the Senate in November. Really good results last night. Really happy about that one. Congratulations to the coach. And that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching, and before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified, and here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.